CEO followed her employee after midnight. The truth about the single dad mechanic broke her heart. The rain was slicing through the midnight air when CEO Evelyn Carter stepped out of her black sedan and made the decision that would change her life forever. She had followed one of her own employees through empty streets, past flickering streetlights, into a forgotten industrial district where secrets seemed to breathe in the shadows. What she discovered inside that rusted shipping container shattered every assumption she had ever made about the quiet, stubborn mechanic she had nearly fired that very morning. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of looking beyond appearances, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Grandma Dearie. Stories like this remind us why compassion still matters. Earlier that day, Evelyn had stood in her glass office on the 42nd floor, staring down at the factory floor below. Her company, Carter Automotive Innovations, was preparing to close a struggling division. Profits were falling, investors were impatient, and someone had to take the blame. Her eyes had landed on Daniel Ruiz, a 34-year-old mechanic with grease-stained hands and a record of arriving late 3 times that month. In her world, punctuality meant respect. In her world, excuses were weakness. She had ordered HR to prepare a termination notice. But something about Daniel's file had bothered her. His performance reviews were flawless. He repaired complex engine prototypes no one else could handle. He never complained. He never asked for overtime pay, even though security logs showed he often stayed past midnight. That contradiction lingered in her mind long after the board meeting ended. That night, as she left the office, she saw Daniel exiting the factory carrying a worn backpack instead of driving home like the others. On impulse, she told her driver to follow him. She did not know why. Perhaps it was suspicion. Perhaps it was curiosity. Perhaps it was something softer she refused to name. Daniel took 2 buses and then walked nearly a mile through pouring rain before stopping at a fenced storage yard. Evelyn watched from inside her car as he unlocked a large shipping container and slipped inside. The door closed behind him. No lights were visible from outside. It looked abandoned, unsafe, wrong. Her heart pounded as she stepped out and approached quietly. When the container door cracked open again, warm yellow light spilled into the rain. What she saw inside made her breath catch. 6 children were asleep on narrow cots along the metal walls, wrapped in mismatched blankets. A small electric heater hummed weakly in the corner. A portable stove sat beside stacked canned food, and in the center of the cramped space, Daniel knelt over a laptop connected to a mess of wires and salvaged machine parts. He wasn't building something for himself. He was repairing discarded engine components from the factory, reselling them quietly online for extra money. The children were his. Evelyn stood frozen as she realized the truth. Daniel was a widower. His wife had died 2 years earlier from a sudden illness, leaving him alone with 3 biological children and 3 nieces and nephews he had taken in after his sister's accident. Medical bills had swallowed his savings. Rent had become impossible. Rather than let the children be separated into foster homes, he had chosen this metal box over losing them. She watched him move softly from cot to cot, adjusting blankets, brushing hair away from small foreheads, checking temperatures with the back of his rough hand. His exhaustion was carved into his face, yet his touch carried a tenderness that felt sacred. He then returned to his laptop, eyes strained, working through the night to make enough money for school supplies and groceries. The lateness, the overtime, the silence, it all made sense now. Evelyn felt a sharp ache in her chest. She had built her empire on discipline and distance. She prided herself on never letting emotions cloud her judgment. But standing there in the rain, watching a father sacrifice sleep, comfort, and dignity just to keep 6 children together, her carefully constructed armor began to crack. She thought about her own childhood, growing up in wealth but rarely seeing her parents, raised more by nannies than love. She had inherited success but never warmth. And here was a man with nothing, giving everything. The next morning, Daniel arrived at work prepared for the worst. He had received the HR email requesting a meeting. He assumed his secret side repairs had been discovered. He assumed